Board of Trustees. Try again. I'd like to call the meeting of the Town of Hebron Douglas Library Board of Trustees for February 12th, 2024 to order. I think our first agenda item is the Pledge of Allegiance. So I don't know if you have flags or what. Okay, I'm going to stay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, with liberty
is indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Okay. The next item on the agenda is public comments. Do we have anyone here who is from the public who would like to make comments? Okay. I don't, I'm sorry, Pam, I don't recognize you. I don't remember seeing you.
I'm the friend representative.
Oh, well, welcome.
When you get to me on the agenda, I will explain where I've been, but.
Where you've been? Oh, on vacation, I hope? Oh.
No.
Okay. All right, then, moving on to no public. Members of the public are here. Moving on to the reports. The first thing would be the secretary and the approval of the minutes from the January 8th meeting, which was just, I believe they were distributed already by Drusilla in the package. Did everyone have a chance to go through them?
Yes.
Okay. Did we have any comments or changes? Corrections?
Could we change where it says secretary right at the very beginning? Could we change that to board clerk? Since Catherine's our board clerk and I'm the secretary and I don't want to be listed that way.
So who does keep the minutes?
The board clerk.
Okay.
And then they're posted on the town's website. Yes.
Okay. And as secretary, what is your function?
Oh, just to create problems.
Well, I knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I don't see why, but do you submit the minutes or does the clerk submit the minutes?
Catherine does the whole job. I have nothing to do with it. That's why I'm just thinking that we should, or just leave that out completely and just say,
approve the minutes.
Minute approval.
Yeah.
I would suggest that approval of minutes be its own item. So have it be item number 3, approval of minutes and whatever date minutes you have to approve, and then have reports be number 4. So keep them separate.
So, yeah, we're modifying the agenda. Does that require a 2/3 vote, if I recall?
Well, I think we can continue. We can continue with this agenda for the current, and I'll just make those changes going forward.
All right. So, going back to the minutes.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
So moved to accept them with the correction of the second bullet under town manager being changed to Danaher. Is that what is that your motion, Peter?
No, I'm sorry. No, it's not. I don't know what Danaher means.
Oh, sorry. Wrong minutes. Okay.
You're talking about the spelling.
Yeah, I'm reading the minutes themselves.
From the other time.
We have a motion from Peter to accept the minutes as submitted. Is there a second to that motion?
Sure, I will second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
And let's see. Any abstentions? Okay, so moved and so adopted. Okay. The next one is the Friends of the Douglas Library, and I believe Pam's here.
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Absolutely fine.
Okay. I apologize for not being at the meetings over the past few months. Unfortunately, I was having computer issues and Zoom would not come in on my old computer, and then I had internet issues. And at one point I tried to use the library facility and I could hear what was going on in the meeting, but I could not get audio, and I was tabled, and then I was left off the agenda. So, or if I was on the agenda, I wasn't given an invite to the meeting, so I haven't been here in a while. And I do apologize for that, but as you can see, I am now back on. So to update the trustees, recently, the Friends held a special meeting because of a series of events that happened. For those of you who do not know, we were given a cease and desist order for selling things, and yeah, it came kind of as a surprise to the Friends. So the timeline for it was on January 22nd, we had a meeting, the Friends had a meeting that evening, and we asked that we sent out, we had 3 points that, you know, about the adult programming. It primarily consisted of the adult programming, and the Friends felt that one of the programs that was booked was too expensive, and we asked that in the future, either somehow some costs are shared by the library, and or that they be under a certain amount. If they go over that amount, we request that they come and ask us, and that passed at our meeting unanimously.
Pam, I hate to
yes.
interrupt you. Was there an amount that you adopted?
Yes, we said $400.
Okay, thank you.
Per year or per event?
Per event, per adult event.
Okay, so that word adult makes a big difference.
Yes, it's the adult programming. The children's were not involved. The children's programming was not involved. It was the adult programming. And to be specific, it was one program that was $500 that was booked twice, that the Friends were a little concerned about. So that's what we passed at the meeting.
Okay.
The next day, an email came from the State Department of Consumer Protection stating, "Good afternoon. I checked the license lookup and do not see any information on the Friends of Douglas Library of Hebron. Can you tell me if they are registered with the state? And if not, shouldn't they be in order to raise funds in Connecticut? Thank you."
And who's that who's that email from and to?
The email was from the State Department of Consumer Protection, and it was to our president, Tim Howard.
Okay. All right. And there was a letter that accompanied that?
We have the email that accompanied that, yes.
Okay, and that's different from what you're reading now. Oh, Pam, would you mind stating your last name for the record? I'm sorry.
My name is Pam Peter Cohen, and I am vice president of the Friends of Douglas Library.
All right, thank you. So that was my mistake. I'm sorry.
Unfortunately, our president, Tim, was out of town for the next 2 days. And so he was trying to deal with communication with the State Department via phone. And so he called me, and I was looking things up. We received a cease and desist order, which we went into the library and took all the books that we normally sell on an ongoing basis off the shelves, and put them downstairs.
So you ceased and desisted?
Yes, we ceased and desisted as per, because
and that letter came, that email was from this Department of Consumer Protection?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How did this happen all of a sudden?
Well, that's what we want to know. So moving forward, Tim filed the paperwork. We're obviously exempt because we do not make more than $50,000 a year. You know, we filed the paperwork, we got the licensing back, and we printed out the certificate that says we can now sell again. But in the meantime, Tim filed a Freedom of Information request with the Department of Consumer Protection for the unredacted original complaint. We got a redacted original complaint. We had asked for it and it was redacted. So we don't know who or what or how or where it came from. So in the meantime, we called a special meeting to inform anybody who wanted to come to it what was happening with the Friends, what was going on with them. And that meeting was held on February 8th.
Mm-hmm.
And we created a timeline of events so everybody, you know, because there was a lot of phone calls and a lot of, you know, people scurrying around to meet the mandates of the Consumer Protection Department, etc. And at the meeting, one of our newer members of the board was very critical of the way the Friends operated. And it hurt many of the longtime members' feelings to be put under. I mean, this was a very unusual circumstance for the Friends. We did not know we had to file that paperwork. You know, if somebody would have just come, you know, we don't know where it came from. You know, we would have gladly filed the paperwork had we known. I mean, I was part of the Friends when we became the 501(c), and there was no talk about registering with the Department of Consumer Protection back then. I mean, it was, yeah, I mean, so anyway, moving on. At this present time, what I want to say is many of the older members of the Friends just feel very emotionally deflated, and they just feel like a lack of trust and appreciation for what we do on an ongoing, the number of hours that we put in, the number of, yeah, I mean, it's just very deflating that this had to transpire. Tim, I talked to Tim tonight. He got information from the Freedom of Information Act, but it was on the wrong case. So he's refiling the information to see where the complaint came from. So,
how much money did you raise in this past year, or a complete fiscal year? How much money have you raised?
Whoever's speaking, could you identify yourself, please?
This would be Mary Ann Foote.
Mary Ann Foote. Thank you.
Fiscal year. So
a fiscal year, I don't care which one.
So last, you know, we vote on an annual basis to give the library money. That is usually done at the May meeting. And last May, we gave the library $23,000 for programming.
Okay, so for my sentence, I mean, to finish, if we had to add 23 or 25,000 to the budget just to provide all this program that we offer to the kids and the adults, this would be mega. I mean, you are so appreciated for what you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would like to emphasize that that we do it, you know, personally. I appreciate what you do and what the programs and the tickets, for example, to the various museums and whatnot.
Passes, yep.
Yeah.
Museum passes,
Yep.
and the list goes on and on. Last year, the only thing we denied, there were a couple things we denied. We denied some of the children's librarian requests. She wanted some furniture, and we wanted the person to rethink and imagine a new space for the children, like they did the teen center. So
that was the previous children's librarian and the previous director, wasn't it, Kevin?
It went through, yes, it went under
yes.
Kevin.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're very willing, and we made it very clear to them at the time that if they would draw up a plan, we would be more than willing to, you know, look at it and support it to upgrade the children's libraries part up there with furniture and, you know, wall, whatever, you know, come up with a new plan, because part of what they have is a bit dated when you go around and look at other libraries.
Okay, Pam, first thing, I think that we need to have better communication between the Board of Trustees and the Friends of the Library. And I think that Kevin used to send notices, but unfortunately, I looked at Drusilla's instructions and no one told her to send them to the Friends. So the first thing we want to do is make sure from now on that you get notices of the meeting and get the pre-meeting package. Is that okay, Donna, if she gets the pre-meeting package? Is there any set policy for the town on that?
No, they definitely should be included.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. The second thing is, excuse me, I gotta hang up. Somebody's trying to call me. Yeah. Okay. A second thing is, we would like to have a liaison from the Douglas Library going to the Friends, who can participate in your meetings and ask questions and bring information over to you. So that's what I think we're going to propose. The other thing is we would love to get copies of your minutes and your meeting agendas. You know, what you're doing, that would be wonderful, so that we would have better communications. And I think that'll help a lot. In terms of what happened with consumer protection, Drusilla, did you want to address that? Or would you rather wait till we get to the agenda item that you had planned?
I can. I was in search of a copy of the Friends bylaws because I could not find them anywhere. And asked the consumer protection because it used to be, and in fact still is, that if you are registered with the state, a copy of your bylaws is available online. And so I had emailed them going, why can't I find the bylaws? Basically, why can't I find anything?
You know, I believe that the language that she just read was the language from your email that was redacted, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you made an inquiry consumer protection because you couldn't find their registration.
I couldn't find their registration, and I was looking for the bylaws, so that I knew what the Friends would fund, since I'd just been told that the Friends didn't fund, and the wording that was used was that the Friends did not fund programming at other libraries, or that these Friends did not fund programming, and so that they were going to potentially reduce funding for adult programming in the future. And so I wanted to know what to ask them for. And, you know, bylaws would stay what they were funding, what they were supposed to fund. And I had gotten conflicting answers. So was hunting down the bylaws. And
so, I mean, you were not making a complaint.
No, I was trying to find out why I couldn't find the registration.
Yeah.
That was, and what my assumption was, that if they weren't for some reason registered, I would get back. Either I would get back, oh yes, we haven't updated the database in, 6 years, because one never knows with this state. Or I would get back, all nonprofits should be registered, and here's the link for how to do it.
Yeah, and the registration is required under the Charitable Solicitation Act, which is separate from the 501c3 and nonprofit status. And that act has been around since like the aughts of this, 2006 or something. It's been around for a while. Pam, have you ever heard of Focal?
No.
Oh, okay. What we're going to be doing is we're also going to be sending over to the Friends a copy. Excuse, that's my dogs in the background. Sorry. We're going to be sending over copies, we have a binder that has our policies, and it also has our ordinance, I believe, in it, that all board members get, and we would like to send that over to you.
Okay.
So that, I think that'll have everything in it. There is a group, and I know this because my neighbor's involved in it, called Focal, and it's the Friends of the Connecticut Libraries, and it's a support organization for all friends of libraries in the state. And they have a handbook, and in the handbook, they actually tell you all the things you're supposed to have done and what you're supposed to have registered for. So that might be something that I understand the library can join or the friends can join, but I think that might be something that we could share in terms of getting information from them.
Yeah, Focal's a great group, and they work to kind of connect different friends groups so that different friends groups know what, different initiatives groups are doing throughout the state, and, some of the cool ideas that some of them come up with for fundraising.
Yeah, and that handbook, I actually got a copy of it. And I'm going to recommend that it be put in our packet, our binders, as part of our board package. And so we would be very happy to share that with you, and we can discuss who's going to be the member. Probably the friends should be the member, because you get to go to lunches and dinners and seminars and all sorts of neat free things. So that would be something. We'll get that information to you, Pam. So
Okay.
now, so what I'm understanding then, when you get your freedom of information, you're going to find Drusilla's email in there. Is that
Right.
correct? Yeah. And so there was no intent to turn you in, but it is something that's required for all charities in the state. It's not the same as not paying taxes. This organization exists to protect people from con men and bogus organizations that take money and are not registered. And this gives the state a way to investigate people, make sure they're registered, and look at their finances if it's necessary. So, but anyway, in that handbook, it has everything listed out that you need to do. So that would be very, very helpful, I think. So, and since you're exempt, I mean, basically the attitude from over there at Consumer Protection for just about everything is no harm, no foul. So you get things done and you're in good standing and they're very happy with you. So there'll be no repercussions.
Yeah, at the current, we are in good standing with them. Everything was resolved with them, within a day. It just.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because if you're exempt, you send it in and they give you an exemption right away. They don't go through the registration process, so they can give you an answer in a day over there. They're very good at this. They do it a lot. So, okay. And I guess, Drusilla, did you want to address the funding for the programming, or do you want to?
That's on there later. I can talk about that when we get to that agenda item.
Okay. Would you mind waiting until then, Pam, when we discuss it? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So I'm glad you got things straightened around with Consumer Protection. When I did find out about this, and I was very concerned, so I went and checked the site, and you are registered with an exemption. You was registered on the 29th. So I have to congratulate you for your quick action. Okay. Is there anything else you want to discuss? There's other items on here, Pam, that do tangentially involve you guys.
Okay.
Okay, so is there anything else you want to make a comment about, or is anything else that you want to say to Pam except welcome to our little group here?
Pam's been coming to our meetings for ages. I mean, she was just missed out here these several months, but she used to give us all the good news.
Well, unfortunately, now that we know she's out there, she's going to get all our paperwork. So
I do have a quick question just for clarity. It was the license, did it lapse, or was there never a license with the Department of Consumer Protection?
There was never a license.
Okay, thank you.
I can supplement that a little bit. At one point, I believe that the Friends had a bazaar, and you can get like a one event registration, and they
Way
had
back when, yes,
that had been done many years in the past.
yes. We held a raffle and we had to
Raffle,
get
thank you.
special, we had to get a special permit to do the raffle. And after going through that, we decided not to do that anymore. It was just,
Yeah, well, now you don't have to, because you're registered, you have an exemption.
No, they still, if they wanted to
Yeah,
do
raffles.
if they wanted to
raffle?
do a raffle.
Oh,
they
raffle.
if they wanted to do a raffle, they would still need to
right, we'll
apply
still
for
would
a
have to
permit.
buy paperwork for it, yes.
Yeah.
Anything like gaming like
It's,
that.
it's
Yes.
considered
Gaming.
gambling, so
But it's
silent auctions
a
and so
game.
on.
It's
Oh.
a game of chance, but it's much easier now because it's through the town, not through the state. So the application process is much more streamlined.
Oh, Donna, so if they
Oh.
wanted to have a raffle or something that looked like a gambling thing, they would go right through the town.
It's a game of chance. Yes, we process the raffle or the bazaar or raffle permits locally now.
Good to know.
Priscilla, do we have any adult programs budgeted for the next fiscal year that would exceed the $400 cap? The
We haven't
Friends,
scheduled anything for the next fiscal year. That's July 1st. We haven't gotten that far out.
so my point is, if we haven't gotten that far out, you might want to think about it, because if we need to change our expense budget, we ought to do it
Well,
now.
we'll discuss
not
that
wait.
later in the agenda, under sources of funding. But I have
Oh.
some information for the board, so.
Oh, okay, thank you.
What's the holdup?
Pat, you're on mute if you're trying to talk to us.
Oh, sorry, the dog unplugged my microphone. Sorry about that. Okay, I have two puppies, 4.5 months old, and they chew on everything. Okay, sorry. Have the budgets been put in for this year yet, Donna?
Yes.
They have been submitted for the next
Yes,
fiscal year?
the department heads already met with Andy and the new Elaine, as well as Elaine. So those have been, our requests were submitted by January 11th, I believe was the due date. And we've already had our meeting to go over the library's request.
So our budget for the next fiscal year, starting in July, has already been submitted.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't be able to fund anything probably for this year because we have a very tight budget. Does that does that help, Peter?
No, doesn't mean we can't alert the town and ask for an addendum to the budget. And we go on record as to what the Friends have decided to do and what we need to do to keep the library programming going. If we don't let them know in town hall, they don't know.
Yeah.
Again, there is a line item in an item in the agenda for programming funding. So how about we delay this discussion until we get there?
Okay, perfect. Is that okay, Peter?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So next would be the town manager representative, and Donna.
Hello. Just a few things. I think most importantly, we have our new children's librarian, Lita Carroll. She started today. We're happy to welcome her and looking forward to working with her. We are very busy in the town manager's office or at town hall with the budget and with CIP and reviewing budgets, adjusting budgets, meeting with the department heads. Trying to come up with a budget that is going to be something that everybody can support. We do have some work to do before we get it passable, we believe. So the town manager will be presenting his budget to the boards of selectmen and board of finance on March 5th. And we're still working on ARPA projects that is ongoing. We are busy with Maple Fest. The Maple Fest is coming back under Hebron sponsorship, and the Town Center project has stepped up to organize it. It's shaping up to be a very, very nice event, similar to the way it used to be. So hoping that everybody can somehow participate. It's the weekend of March 15th, 16th, and 17th in the center of town and all around town. So if you,
it's 3 days?
well, when I say the 15th, we have a new event this year. It's called Maple by Moonlight. It's a gala fundraiser that will be on Friday night to kind of kick off the weekend. And that information has just been released today. It's going to be at Colebrook Village, and it should be a really nice evening. And then the opening ceremonies will be on Saturday morning at 9:30 on the steps of the old town hall, and then just all kinds of activities all weekend. So it should be a really good time.
Are we going to have the maple and the milk again, as we always have?
Maple milk at this point, from what I understand as of yesterday, maple milk will be served from Gina Marie's. I think they're going to be selling maple milk at Gina Marie's.
That and the ice cream are the high points.
There's an ice cream eating contest at Ted's, and there is going to be an ice cream truck somewhere. I don't remember where the ice cream truck is going to be. Ooh. But there's a lot of good local food and a few food trucks just to supplement it. It's not going to be a giant food truck festival. We've kind of curated the food trucks and the vendors. In the library community room will be Hebron's own. So those will be vendors and artists and businesses that are located in Hebron, and they'll be on display inside. And then other vendors that are not from Hebron will be outside.
And that will be in the library at the meeting room?
Yes.
Okay, we'll have to talk about the policy and
no, we've taken care of it. Well, we believe we've taken care of it. The town center project will be making a contribution to the library for use of the space.
Excellent.
So,
okay.
Yeah, that's what we thought. Well, what we wanted to do.
That way the sales will benefit
the library.
The library. So that meets the criteria of the policy.
Excellent.
Go on.
Is this some new policy? This town
This is what you
project?
approved. You approved it last month. Actually, it's been in place for the previous policy also included that you couldn't sell things in the meeting room unless they benefited the library. So that's where this comes in. That the idea is to prevent, multi-level marketing schemes or a local business saying they're going to do a talk and then trying to sell things to people, that any sales must benefit the library. So that way, if the town center project makes a donation to us, that fits the criteria.
Is someone missing the policy that was approved in January? Does someone need a copy of that?
MA, do you want me to send you one?
Sure.
Okay.
do you have a binder for MA?
I have a binder for everybody
No,
except for
no,
you
no,
and Dale.
no.
Because
I
you picked
hate-
theirs up today.
What was
I
that?
don't like hard copy. I only deal with the digital.
All right, I will email you a copy.
Okay.
That's a good idea. Thank you.
Yeah.
Actually, better yet, I will send you the link to our policy manual on the library website, and then you'll have all of them.
That's easier.
Ah,
You can do that for everyone.
I like it.
Now,
Um,
Drusilla,
oh,
the library for the Maple Fest, will we be able to take out books on Saturday and Sunday, or is
No,
it just?
not on Sunday. It will be on Saturday. We'll be open our usual hours, 10 to 3, and we will be open and we'll have extra staff to try to keep an eye on things. But we don't have the staff to do Sunday as well. We just don't have enough bodies available.
Okay.
Okay, there will be some library staff on duty on Saturday and Sunday, though.
Not on Sunday.
What happens if something happens?
Not going to be any library staff there on Sunday?
I am out of
I thought
town.
we had-
There aren't any of
I
us
thought we
available.
had coverage in previous years. I thought we had special coverage there.
There was
We-
always at least one staff member, and also we
Right.
always had someone to clean, whoever does the
Yes,
cleaning.
so we have reached out to the
Okay.
contractors for cleaning, and
Okay,
Ryan will be
perfect.
here.
Okay,
But
both
as I said,
days,
yes, both days,
all day?
as far as I know.
Okay,
Um,
great.
But he will be in and out. He's normally here for a couple of hours in the morning, so he will
Okay,
be here on a regular basis. But I
Okay.
am not able to be here on Sunday, and neither is Claire. So we don't have anyone. And of course, Lita just started, so we haven't, I haven't thrown her under the bus and said that she needs to be here that day.
Well, I think we need representative there because inevitably something will go wrong.
And do I hear that as a volunteer, Peter?
No, you don't hear it as a volunteer.
it's got to be somebody that knows the workings of the building.
I
I
will,
yeah,
I
I
will
was gonna
be,
say Donna will be around, yeah.
I will be around. I won't
Okay.
I can't say that I'm going to be in the library the entire time, but
Mhm.
I will definitely be around. The town center project table is right
Okay.
outside. And then we're probably going to be selling the Hebron, the Maple Fest mugs. We're bringing back the mugs. So we're probably going to be selling those inside the library. So I will be in the library quite a bit. I'll
All
keep an
right.
eye on
Mhm.
things.
Excellent.
Um,
And that'll
so,
be on Sunday and Saturday.
well, but I'll be there. Yeah, I'll be there all weekend, pretty
Okay.
much.
All right.
Then I just have a couple more things. There, on the emails, I do believe that some of you may have been forced recently to implement the multi-factor authentication, and hopefully everybody has done that. If you haven't been able to or are having trouble with it, let me know and I'll put you in touch with Novus, our IT support company. You also should have received very recently prompts to do the cybersecurity training. That's definitely legit. It's part of our security protocols. So, please do try to complete that training. And let's see. We finishing up the new computers for the full-time staff. A new computer will be installed for Lita, and then just a few loose ends for Drusilla and Claire's computers that we're working on with Novus. And we are going to be pursuing some of this security initiatives with additional cameras for the library and then some other things down the road with keyless entry for all the town buildings. So lots,
Wow.
lots of things going on. So
Excellent.
thank you. Thank you.
Donna, I have just a comment. I don't know how long ago our new children's librarian accepted her position. But as far as I know, the trustees were never notified that someone was hired and who it was. I mean, this happened when Drusilla came on board. We didn't even know that she had been hired. So I'm not sure who should be handling that. I guess it would come from, the town manager's office. But
To-
I mean,
to
she is a
notify the-
supervisor, so I would assume, it would be nice for the board to know who it is.
Well, I mean, you're looking for the town manager to notify the entire board? Is that what you're?
Sure, at least that they've hired
Because
a candidate, they've hired someone.
we definitely had members of the board involved in the process, the entire process. So
Correct.
there were a couple members on the initial committee, and then the final interview was Andy, Drusilla, and Pat. So I guess I'm just assuming that notification would have been provided to the board. I apologize if it wasn't.
Yeah,
Oh,
our
thank you,
thoughts
Beth.
were we're going to announce it at the meeting, our next meeting.
Okay.
And if you wanted to hear about her background, or if you wanted more information, we can't
Yeah.
really share her resume, but if you would like, maybe we could even have her do a meet and greet with her for board members.
Well, I mean, I would be happy knowing that, yes, we have a candidate that accepted the position and her name. I mean, it's like we don't hear anything.
I guess I'll add that when Drusilla was hired, I was on the first meeting, first level, and then we recommended two people, she being one of them, and it went on to the second interview. But those of us on the first committee, never heard a word. We didn't know, even ourselves did not know that anyone had been hired. So
Okay.
I agree with Sue that something should be done to correct this.
Donna,
a lot of
we-
that
we can't,
communication.
I'm sorry. Donna, we can't send anything out until we hear from Andy. If you would like us to, if you can give us confirmation that the person has accepted and that everything's all worked out and it's, for real, we could, I can ask Drusilla to send something out, a nice announcement, because it would be a nice way to introduce her to people.
Well, I believe announcements have been made. I know Drusilla put it in wasn't it in the weekly management report?
Yeah.
I think,
that.
I mean,
Yeah.
I guess I just assumed that notification had been given to the board, so.
Yeah, so we'll make sure if this happens again that everybody gets notice.
But I
There
really
is a
hope
lack of communication.
I really
Yeah.
hope we don't have to
Yeah.
hire another children's librarian
Yeah.
or anyone else.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll make sure, this is part of communications, so that is something also that we want to have on our agenda to make sure we have better communications. Okay. Chairperson, I really don't have much to report. I've already said, how much I appreciate the Friends and everything they do for us. You need a group to support the library because, as Drusilla told me, the town is like a cupcake. I hate to use this. Sorry, Drusilla. It's like a cupcake.
It's not my analogy.
It's like a cupcake. The town gives us the cupcake, but it's the Friends that put the icing and the decorations on it. So, and what is a cupcake without icing? Okay. Next would be the library director's report.
So I think, so I do want to point out that I did include the notice that Lita would be starting and that she would be our new children's librarian in my director's report.
Right.
That did go out.
Yep.
So Lita started today. She has hit the ground running. She's already making a list of groups she wants to reach out to and looking over programs that have been done in the past and programs that she'd like to implement. she left today looking a little shell-shocked. So I think we kept her busy her first day. But I think she'll be a really good fit. And, you know, she's been getting to know the staff that were up there today. So that was really good to see. Our new bibliomation software appeared. It was upgraded over the weekend. We had a bit of a glitch this morning, which I understand was due to some back-end issues. But that was resolved within about 10 minutes, I think, from the time we noticed it to the time the email went out going, hey, we fixed it. So it's a little more streamlined looking on our end of things, which is nice because, you know, that's the software that the staff spend all day staring at. So it was nice that that's a little bit more. Some of the things that we use a lot are much easier to access than they were. We are still waiting for the HVAC people to come fix things. I have to put a call into Sean tomorrow or Wednesday and find out where we are with that. But the backup heat pump is keeping the place heated, so it's not a crisis. It's just that we're it would be nice if we had a backup and a regular heat pump. And I think the toilet downstairs in the staff workroom decided to stop functioning last week. That has been replaced and we are good to go. It has the weirdest innards of any toilet I have ever seen because it's pressurized. So that is all working now. Staff are, you know, I told them all that everybody had to go test it. So they all went downstairs and it is working quite well. And I think that is all that I have.
I noticed on I actually read it, your report, that you met briefly with David Rose.
Yes. So he's a gentleman from the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving. He stopped by to meet with someone from the Historical Society and stuck his head in my office. I gather that it sounds like this may have been in the works for several years. MA might know more. The Historical Society in town wanted to do a walking tour downtown, and instead of having, you know, giant plaques with information, decided that what they wanted were posts with QR codes, which are the little square things that you scan, which makes it easier to update any information if new information comes to light and so on. And I gather that in the original grant application several years ago, Kevin had agreed to use the library's 3D printer to print the QR codes, because that way they won't fade. If you print a regular sign or something, it might fade, but a hard plastic thing will not. So David was here and he caught me up on the project and had a prototype of one of the QR codes. So we got to play around with that a little bit. So I think it'll be a fun project. I don't know what the timeline is. I think that's what he was meeting with the folks from the Historical Society about. But yeah, it sounds like it's really fun and it's nice that we can contribute.
Excellent.
Something.
All right. Let's see. You said in the budget we're in good shape budget-wise.
We are.
I have a question. On the building, the heat, what needs to be replaced? The boiler?
No. So there are two heat pumps that get the heat from the boiler to the rest of the building.
Okay, yeah.
We have a regular heat pump and a backup heat pump.
Okay.
And it was rather chilly in here and we couldn't get the heat over a certain degree, which I was fine with, but everybody else was freezing to death. So we called the HVAC folks and they came and did their HVAC-y thing and determined that the main heat pump has given up the ghost.
Okay.
So they have switched the system so it's running on the backup and it's running beautifully, but now what happens if the backup goes?
Yeah, right.
So yeah, so we have an estimate for that. And then there's also a long overdue, relatively minor, there is a valve in the heat circulator thing in the children's librarian's office that is stuck. So while they come to do one big thing, the heat pump, I said, if you're gonna have to turn the heat off for a while, could you just do everything at once? So hopefully we'll have that and then everybody will have heat and everybody will be happy and not get frostbite.
Are you working with are you working with the town building committee on this?
It's a simple repair to what's already here. So I had talked to Sean, who is the new Willie. He's probably going to be the new Willie for 20 years. And I know Andy had reached out to some folks to see, what the options were for the heat pump. But this is just a piece of the existing system that has decided to give up the ghost. Donna.
I could just add to that. We did check with the company ESC that did the most recent installation on the HVAC system to make sure that that was not a warranty item that would be covered under the recent work. But this is an original circulating pump or heat pump that was
Okay.
installed
It's
10 or
not,
12
it's
years.
not the piece that was redone. It's one of the old
No,
pieces.
it's old. It's old. We wanted to confirm that before we moved ahead because the estimate was, I think, $6,000 or $7,000.
Yeah.
It's
So
a
that
lot.
we
It's a
have,
ton.
we have approved it. We have signed it. It's no longer a proposal. It's a
Okay.
job that is in the works.
Yeah.
And we submitted it to Thermodynamics and we're just waiting
Mhm.
for them to get scheduled to get out here to complete the
Yeah.
work.
And I think they're trying to get last time I talked to one of their reps, he was here doing the regular scheduled maintenance last week. And because we want them to do both things at once, including the long overdue valve replacement I think they're waiting for the part for the valve so that they can do it all at once and, save us a few dollars on travel costs.
Thank you, Donna. That's where I was going with those questions.
Thank you, Peter.
All right, I have another question, sorry. During the interview process, for the first round, was everyone that was initially chosen to be on that round at the interview? Did they participate in round one?
No.
Do you mean all of the candidates?
No, all of the people that were asking the questions.
So we had Donna, Emily represented the board. Gail unfortunately was not able to join us, although she had expressed interest. And then Amanda Brower, the former director here,
Yeah.
was on that panel.
So was there any effort made or attempt made to replace Gail with another board member? Or was it?
My understanding, and I was
made
not
yet?
on the panel, but my understanding was that the Gail's availability was, we didn't find out that she would not be able to join us until just a day or two before.
Well, but somebody could have, made phone calls or email to see if anyone else was available. There's several of us that are retired and might have been available.
How many
so
people are normally on that first round on the panel?
I can answer that for.
It's
when
a
we
little bit
interviewed
different.
Priscilla,
Oh.
We had 2 trustees on that panel for the first round.
This is a little bit different because it's not the director position.
Yeah.
Correct.
It is a management position. It's the
Yeah.
children's librarian.
Yep.
Initially it was going to be one board of trustee member. And then Emily volunteered, so we added her. So, and it was a very last minute notification that we found out Gail was not going to be able to make it. So at that late date, we had representation from the board
Yeah.
and we knew that we were going to have Pat doing second round. So we felt comfortable with that decision.
So Emily was our fall guy.
Well, I'm just concerned because the same thing happened, Drusilla, when you were interviewed. I mean, Gail was unable to make it, unfortunately, but and then it happens again. I mean, to me, if there's a day or two's notice, some attempt should be made to replace that person. Everybody might not agree with me, but that's the way I feel.
Well, when do when are the resumes and whatnot passed out to the people who are going to be doing the interviewing?
Donna took care of that angle of things. She was the scheduling person, so I'm afraid I don't remember, because I was not on the first panel, so.
We try to get the information out, sometimes a week before, sometimes it's just a few days before, depending on how much time we have from the time we schedule till the time of the interview. And we provide, the resumes, the applications, the questions, the score sheet, the job description, all those materials are provided. So we, like I said, we did have a member of the board. So the board was represented. So
For those people who want to volunteer for this, if it happens again, which I hope it doesn't in the near future, we will please volunteer on the record so we have your name in the minutes.
Well, and I had sent out, because we don't know what the scheduling would be. So I had sent something out asking for board volunteers.
Right.
And I only got Emily as responding to that. So
You also got me because I said, well, I'm glad Emily has. Otherwise, I would have thrown my name in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
That was
okay. So make sure that Drusilla, if this happens again, make sure Drusilla knows that you would be willing to sit on the panel.
Well, I was going to say, should we just make sure you have like an alternate so they would be available? But, down the road, if it
Yeah.
comes
it's
again,
not
when it
going to
comes to
happen
that.
again.
yeah, we can spend
Yeah.
time later.
Drusilla may stay here forever and retire. You never know. Okay. Let's see. That was, Drusilla, are you done with your?
Unless there are
Okay.
any other questions.
And I noticed that you included something different this time, the upcoming programs
Yes.
for the months of February and March.
I've been trying to do that. I don't always remember, but I've been trying to do that in my reports. So maybe you see something interesting. I can tell you that the Fungi Frenzy class that happened tonight, all about growing mushrooms, was very popular. Claire stuck her head in a little while ago to tell me that she had, I believe we had almost 20 people here learning how to grow mushrooms. So if there's a glut of mushrooms in Hebron in the summer, you will know why.
You grow mushrooms?
Mushrooms. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
This
mean
gentleman was,
to buy the spores and get the medium, that sort of.
yeah,
Okay.
so I guess this gentleman was doing class on how to grow mushrooms outdoors.
Yeah.
I've seen like the little
yeah.
like windowsill kits.
Yeah.
But so based on the number of people who were here, there's gonna be a lot of mushrooms happening in Hebron.
Oh God, that's great.
So
I hope they're
Drusilla,
shiitakes. They're so good.
Drusilla, I have a question, and I don't know if you have an answer or not, but is our new children's librarian, does she know when she's going to start story time again?
Right now, she is looking at starting up in 2 weeks.
Okay.
In hopes that will give her time to figure out, where the bathroom is, and what supplies are in the cabinets and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But she's looking at starting in 2 weeks. So it would be basically be March 1st.
Yeah.
That we'd start, give her.
Okay. Well, the reason I asked that is I just became aware, and maybe other people knew, that the Flower Girl has been holding story time because we didn't have it at the library after Sherry left.
Yeah, and my understanding is that the Flower Girl thought that we were never going to offer it again, and did not reach out to say, hi, why aren't you doing story time? Our regulars, certainly, and the patrons, we've been telling people right along, once we have somebody new in place, we will start story time back up. But I guess that message didn't get over to the Flower Girls, so they started something. My personal feeling is the more early childhood literacy we've got going on in town, the better. So
Yeah.
But Lita is planning, talking to her today. She asked if she could hold off for 2 weeks to do it, and I said that was fine.
Okay.
You know, let her get her feet under her and start to meet some of the patrons and so on.
So
And
have you informed Michelle at the Flower Girl that we will be starting it up
I
again?
have not. I was waiting for Lita to finalize. She
Okay.
thinks right now she's going to keep it the same schedule that we've always had it. But she was she's going to check with some of the libraries right around us, because if it turns out that everybody is doing a Tuesday at 10 o'clock story time, we might want to consider moving ours to a different time. So as soon as she has finalized a schedule, I will reach out to Michelle and just let her know.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be great to
Yeah.
coordinate and have 2 story times. It would be really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great that she picked that up though and offered to do that.
Yeah, I'm respecting them more and more all the time as I see
Yeah.
how they become involved in town affairs.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, any more questions of the library director for the report?
No, I'm done for now.
Okay, we're all set? Okay, moving on to old business. The first item is the meeting room policy review. And
Pat, that was what you had asked for, just to clarify the question of charging
oh yeah,
for
no,
programs or
thank you.
charging materials fees for programs, because that is something that I gather the Friends had discussed, whether asking us to charge, you know, for the more expensive programs. And just clarifying that it has been in the policy prior to the one that was just voted, and still is, that we don't charge tuition or fees, and that is a state guideline.
State guideline.
That all public library programs should be free and open to the public. It becomes an equity of access if you start offering things that people can't afford. So it's you know, a continuation of previous policy, but it is also, you know, following the state guideline that has been in place. It was certainly in place when I was in Willimantic, so that is a long-standing thing that the state has let's say strongly encouraged. I don't know that they would cut off our funding if we did charge, but they really don't like it.
Yeah, I can understand why. Geez, auditing would be a nightmare. So, and you think that our current policy is pretty much in conformance
Yes.
with,
Yeah. Well, and I check anytime I, you know, look over a policy. The state maintains a sort of a collection for directors that we can check on that are kind of what they consider to be best practices and good guidelines. And so we are in compliance with what the state wants in a meeting room use policy and what is considered best practice.
Okay. We want them to be happy.
I like that when the state's happy. They can make my life very difficult if they're not.
Yeah, make everybody's lives very difficult. Okay. Did anyone have any questions or thoughts on the meeting room policy?
No,
okay.
I think no.
Yeah, because you know, if that's the way the state wants it. Moving on to poet laureate. Is anyone here to report?
That is MA.
That's been going on for quite some time. At the last meeting, if you will recall, I had made a motion which passed because we only had one person, and then it had to be rescinded because Donna thought we should have a further notification giving a cutoff date. So we did that and received one more application. I have sent the copies of that, well, both people's, out to the committee, the Poet Laureate Committee. And at the same time, I sent it out to Althea also, because although she's retired from our group, she continued on Poet Laureate. And I'm making a further suggestion right now that if we feel we need it, Marianne Steiner attended a couple of the poet information meetings and is very good, but she did not apply for the position. So if we would like another person to help select, and I don't see any problem, but I asked our group if they could, and oh shoot, what's her name? Who's the one that's not here tonight? Meg?
Meg.
Mm.
And Meg said she was in favor of that. And I don't know about M, but Althea's in favor of it. Others think it's a good idea. That way we could get moving, get our person, and then have a big reception for that person.
Now Mary Ann is a poet herself.
Yeah, that Mary Ann is.
Yes.
Okay. So she's, wow, we have a poet consultant. That's pretty good.
Well, we also have Meg being a teacher. What does she teach? English?
English. Yes.
And so she's at the high school doing that. So we've got plenty of professional assistance here.
Excellent. Okay, so we'll be hearing more shortly then.
No, we can decide right now. What's the will of the group?
Yeah. How many applications do you have right now? Did you say 2?
We had 2.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, we publicized all over creation what the closing date was.
Right. I think that our last meeting, we really pretty much mentioned Larry Zimmerman. And, but then it was a question of it had been published, the closing date had been published.
Yeah.
Correct. And that's why we backed off on that motion, which had been approved. Well, I don't think we voted. We backed off before,
Right.
moved and seconded.
So what do you need from us tonight in terms of a vote? Anything?
Yes, I'm making the suggestion that we add one other person.
Oh, Mary. Oh, so yeah. Okay.
Selection.
Okay. Would you like to make a motion to that effect?
Okay, I would move that Marianne Steiner be asked if she would serve on the Poet Laureate Selection Committee. We already have other professionals, but she would be a good addition. So I'll just say that we ask Marianne Steiner to serve on the Poet Laureate Selection Committee.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'd like to bring it to a vote, and all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries.
So we'll get that moving soon, and then hopefully within 2 months, we can have a announcement and reception of our new Poet Laureate.
Excellent. That is good news. Just in time for spring.
Yay.
Okay. Okay, so that is the end. Any other old business? No? Okay.
I just had
The budget capital thingy?
Yeah. So we've
Sorry?
already really covered it, but our budget, I submitted the budget the day after our last meeting to Andy and company at Town Hall. I met with Andy and Donna and Lori, who's the new head of finance, and Elaine to sort of review that and review our request. But we knew that asking for enough money to be open at 10 every day was a long shot. I've basically been told that there aren't the funds for that because of the school budget being as high as it is, but the 50 cent an hour raise for staff is still in play, which is excellent. They certainly deserve every penny of that. I wish I could pay them twice what we pay them now. And of course, costs for things like heating and electricity and so on, which will go up, have already been factored into that. But that budget, our piece of Andy's budget has now moved on to the next step in the process. So we're sending it off with good wishes until the budget hearings in March.
Donna, do you have anything to add?
I think Drusilla pretty much covered it. Just we are not approving or not recommending any new initiatives, or close to no new initiatives in the budget. So that's why those hours were not approved. So
Okay.
it's going to be a tough year. The Hebron Board of Ed's budget is, I think, over a 7% increase. The town has some things in the budget that are like unavoidable. So we're right now, it's a couple mil increase that we know we need to bring down. So there's just there isn't room for adding new things this year.
Mhm.
So thank you.
Donna, should we be advocating, for Claire's increase? I know she's not in the library budget.
That's all set. That's all
Yeah,
taken care of.
Andy,
perfect.
I'm sorry, I
Great.
should have mentioned that
Great.
Andy assured me that he would include that, it's not in our
Okay.
budget, but he would include
Perfect.
that in his
Excellent.
recommendation.
Thank you.
That's great. All right. I guess we're ready to move on to new business sources of funding. Oops, sorry. I'm sorry. Who did I cut off? I'm sorry.
Jeez.
You're trying to cut me off too.
So
What
many
about
Oh, I'm
questions.
so
election of
sorry.
officers?
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Election of officers should still be under old business, I would think.
No, it's under new business.
It's under new. Sorry, I forgot to move it.
Oh, geez. Ugh.
I was trying to remember to take things like the selectman's representative off, and that one I missed.
Okay. So we're all set then with old business. We can move forward.
Right.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you. All right. New business sources of funding for programming.
So as Pam already alluded to, the Friends had sent an email indicating that they were going to cap the per program cost going forward until May, which is when they vote on their additional funding. And they have also requested that, or indicated that they would like the town to match their programming funding, which obviously is not something that's going to happen in this bit. Even if we'd asked for it, even if we could ask for it now, because that would be a new funding thing for the town. It's not going to happen this year. And of course, our budget had already been submitted. What that means, I've been told, is that, the $1,500 that the town currently provides us for programming is what the Friends would match for adult programming, which means that obviously our programming funding for next year is going to be a significant drop from what it is now. So Claire and I have been working. We are compiling a list of free or extremely low cost programs. A couple of other library directors have already volunteered to come in and do programs that they have led at their library. We're looking at several of the staff have volunteered to be on the roster. So they will do programs. And this would all be after May when the Friends do their meeting and their budget for the coming year. So we would still have adult programming. We would not have some of the things that we've been able to do in the past, but I just wanted you all to be aware that we'd be looking at a decreased amount of funding for adult programming after May. And obviously I will ask the Friends to reconsider, considering that the timing of their request or their warning to me was after the budget had already been submitted to the town. But so we are working on, as I said, identifying things that we can do in-house, identifying free programs. We've got a number of people on tap already. I happen to have a friend who is an author who has said that he will come here free of charge because he owes me a favor. So I told him I was gonna call him in on that one. We've got a number of staff members who do crafting and that sort of thing who would be willing to do programs. So we'll see what we can do in-house moving forward, and we'll see what things look like after May, after the Friends decide their budget. But just so you all are aware that the adult programming on tap may look a little bit different after May.
And I just want to clarify. So when we sent that email out, that is not a new issue. Way back in 2019, the Friends also had requested about adult programming. So in our minutes, in 2019, we had asked, that a materials fee be, for some of the programming be asked. It was never done, and no one got back to us that it couldn't be done, or we wouldn't have asked for it again.
I thought we discussed it a long time ago.
Yes,
never-
we did, 2019.
Yes, we did.
And like I said,
I
and
thought
then-
we agreed to do it.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought too.
No,
I think that's
can-
what the Friends thought.
Can I-
Because
But that's not what the
I
state
recall that
said.
also.
I looked at the trustees' minutes from there, that error.
Oh,
We did not vote to charge a fee because libraries don't charge fees. We did vote to request a donation,
right,
but then as the months go on, we had to check, it had to go through the finance department, who took it to the auditors, who strongly suggested
They don't like
that
that
we do
idea.
not do that.
yeah.
And it was documented every month in our minutes. So I don't know, Pam, if maybe you didn't attend a couple of the meetings, you were at most of them.
yeah.
So I don't know what happened, but we never voted to charge fees. It was always
It was the
donation, and then we
request
were
the
basically
donation.
told no.
And then it didn't seem to be a problem over the next couple of years, but then you had COVID and nothing happened.
Right.
And so things kind of got lost in all that too.
Yeah.
So, it's just the way it
Yeah.
unwrapped.
I mean, it's unfortunate, lack of communication, I guess.
Yep. And that's other things, we add that to our list of
Yeah.
communications to make sure that if there are questions that go back and forth, that we have follow-up on them.
And I mean, the board has always recognized the importance of the Friends and what they provide to this library.
And besides, we enjoy the book sale.
Oh, yeah.
I do have just a follow-up to that. There was a suggestion from our new finance director regarding the request for donations, and that that the library can't really accept the donations because it's very cumbersome to process.
Yeah,
or
they have to open
account
yeah.
account for that.
They
But
have to open a special account for that, which is
Right.
nuts. Yeah.
But for the programming materials or for suggested donation for an expensive program, the donations could go to the Friends
Friends,
directly.
Yeah, my understanding is that the auditor did not want the donations to come through library staff.
Ah,
Right.
That the any donation that went to the Friends would have to go directly to the Friends.
that's a thought.
But that still runs up against the whole issue that it would be a library program that we would then be charging a materials fee for,
Okay.
which would violate that.
But it wouldn't be a it wouldn't be called a materials fee.
It's
It
called
would just be called suggested donation.
we
Right.
can't, the word is solicit, which does not mean standing on the street corner, but solicit, we can't even ask for that. Actually.
Yeah, the state, because people interpret it as you're saying suggested, but it really is a requirement, or they, so that's, again, that's frowned upon by the folks at the state library.
Huh.
But we'll see what we can do in-house, and we'll see what we can come up with that,
And then,
around that.
then for next year, we'll put one of the items in the budget should be for programming.
Yeah, we can, when we get around to it in a year's time, when the process comes around again, we'll know to try to add some line items in there, or some money in that line item.
Absolutely.
And did you think about doing sponsorships maybe getting somebody from the outside to sponsor something? I mean, I'm thinking of the flower girl, for example.
We have, so Claire and Lita and I have been brainstorming and trying to brainstorm, are there local businesses that might sponsor a program? For example, we have our Medicare information sessions, that we do free of charge. That there might be some, a local bank might want to send a finance expert, that kind of thing. It's walking the fine line between sponsoring something and soliciting business it becomes the issue. But yeah, it's on our agenda to consider.
Are there any patrons that might want to sponsor a program? If they have a specific interest and would like to learn more, they might be willing to sponsor it.
We could probably put out some sort of notice to see if anybody bites onto it.
I mean, there was a woman that I think she's moved out of town just recently, but she had walked part of the Appalachian Trail, and she had done a really nice program at the senior center about her hiking of the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah, so that's the kind of thing that we have on our list of potential free programs, is to ask people, local people with expertise and so on.
Yeah, the senior center may have some people too. They have some good programs.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next thing is election of officers. I have not been part of the elections of officers in the past, really. So what is the process for this? Do we nominate? Do we ask for volunteers?
I nominate Pat to continue as the chairperson.
Hey. Well, thank you. I appreciate your confidence. So, I mean, is that how we do it? Anybody?
I think anybody who is able, willing, and
has a pulse.
Right.
Donna, do you have some insight into how?
I was just going to say, and I think it's overdue. It was supposed to be in January, but in the past, there has been a nominating committee who will kind of do the legwork and make the inquiries and then come up with a slate of people who are willing and able to fill those spots. So you may want to just consider establishing a nominating committee to do some quick work and come back to the next meeting with a slate of officers.
I believe there was a discussion of a nominating committee for the last meeting, and nobody volunteered.
Nobody volunteered?
No, it was carried over till this month.
Oh.
So I think you just need 2 or 3 people to do that. And I would think that the work could be done, with a few phone calls. So.
Well, we could do it tonight and just deal with the people that are absent.
Yeah, let's nominate everybody that didn't come.
That happened to me once. I was elected president of a group because I was not at a meeting.
I had the same thing happen. I'm in Morocco, came home and found out I was a president. Yep.
I got a phone call.
Oh, hey. Gail, it's good to see you.
Hey, Gail.
Thank you, Dale.
Yeah, that was what I got. Oh, by the way.
So, I mean, is there anybody who would be interested in a nominating committee? And no, how will we go about that?
Oh, yes, because if you're on that committee, that protects yourself. So that's a good idea.
Oh, there you go. So if you do not want to be an officer, volunteer for the nominating committee.
I think Peter would be good.
Pat, I'll volunteer for nominating committee.
Oh, Gail just volunteered.
I've gotten so many people on the board. I was doing that kind of work anyway.
Okay.
So,
how about Peter? Is he still listening?
I'm still listening, Pat.
No, I thought we would sneak.
Good try. Good try.
He's just not volunteering.
Well, Gail, if you can maybe put upon some people to join you in this endeavor. You're always good at getting volunteers.
Well, yes, that's you want me to get someone else from the board to join me.
Yeah.
Twist some arms.
Pat knows I'm good at twisting arms. That's why she's president.
Yeah.
I would say that you're very good at twisting arms.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because it might be a
Everybody
good.
will be home tomorrow, so I can make phone calls and get them.
So you're going to be looking for people on the nominating committee and people who are willing to serve. So we have president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary.
We don't
No
have,
treasurer.
No treasurer.
No
No treasurer.
treasurer.
Oh, that's the town. Sorry.
do we really need a secretary?
Not really.
The
No.
ordinance calls for it, so you should.
Yeah,
And
I was gonna
it's
say, I
just
think
really,
I think it's in the,
it's not for minutes or
It's for
agendas. It's for
correspondence.
correspondence.
And
Yeah.
also, your secretaries are normally responsible for the keeping of the records of the organization. And that
That's
means
right.
you're supposed to know where things are.
in my office, that's where they are,
So there you go.
right there.
That takes care of that. Okay. All right. So thank you, Gail. Okay, we moved on to other business. Did anyone have anything they wanted to bring up? I think as a board, we should write a letter to the Friends telling them how much we appreciate them and how we want to improve communications, and offer to have somebody go as a liaison to their group and trade, minutes and agendas. And that, maybe every once in a while we should do something, a joint meeting of some type. I don't think anyone has the time, but how does the board feel about doing that, writing a letter?
Oh, I think it's important to let them have acknowledgement.
Yeah,
how
I
much
think
we
so too.
appreciate what they have done
Yeah.
and they are doing. And I think, again, there was a lack of communication
Mm-hmm.
and we need to be together.
Yeah, it's our library for Pete's sake. So, Drusilla, would you help me write that letter?
Sure, you know where to
Okay.
find me.
All right. Is that okay with everyone that we do that?
I think that's fabulous.
Okay.
I in that letter, you might mention the liaison. I don't know. I mean, we should ask the Friends if they would like us to have a liaison at their meetings. We shouldn't just thrust it upon
Well,
them.
I understand. No, we're going to offer. We're not going to insist. We're going to offer.
Right.
And my understanding was that at one point, the director of the library was a liaison.
Yes, they used to attend.
Yes.
So the Friends used to have a liaison. So I don't want to volunteer Drusilla for everything, but I think we should, and it's just, Pam being here tonight is really important. So I think it would be important for us to make a showing. So.
Thank you, Pam, so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's anything else for other business?
I just have a question. It's probably a Donna question. And of course, it's just something I wonder about. I'm not sure anybody else cares. I noticed I had watched the Board of Selectmen's meeting from the January, I think it was the 4th, where they approved the description of the children's librarian. I just wonder, I mean, we had already posted the job, selected who was going to be interviewed before the description actually was approved. Is that legal, or do they do that often? Does the town do that
I don't
often?
think mine has been approved or updated or approved, so I mean, it does happen. It certainly does happen in other towns that the fact that you've hired someone is the impetus for people to look at the existing job descriptions.
Well, it is a town employee position, so
Right.
the town keeps the job duties, correct? Donna? Did she fall asleep?
No, Drusilla jumped in, so I didn't want to interrupt, but it took a little while to get this job description the draft updated. And we did get it approved through the Board of Trustees, and then it was on the Selectmen's agenda. But it has been the custom, anytime we have a full-time position that is open, that we take a look, if the job description hasn't been reviewed in a while, that we take a look at the job description and update it with the director or head of the department's input. But it is okay for us, definitely is legal for us
Okay.
to advertise and recruit, and depending on the timing of the meetings, sometimes we are bringing the person in for interviews
Mhm.
and hiring before everything is finalized.
Okay,
But yeah.
okay. Yeah, because I know anytime any job opens up, you should look at what you really need before you,
Yes.
Yep.
And we did, we made some changes.
Yeah.
At Drusilla's suggestion, and that is what we recruited for.
Mhm.
And that is what was included in the job description.
Okay.
So.
It was just a question I had, so that
Yep.
answers that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That clarified,
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought of that issue, so thank you. I guess the next thing is anybody here from any of the strategic planning committees have anything to report?
I have something to communicate regarding one of the strategic planning committees. At the last meeting, Peter had mentioned that his staff cohort on the safety committee was Sherry, who obviously is no longer with us. Derek White, who is one of our part-timers, is interested in stepping into that role. And I just found that out today, so I will be sending Peter Derek's email address so that they can communicate.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay. Any other comments for that? And so I think we finally got to our favorite item, adjournment.
I so move.
Well, that was quick.
I like to be the first one on.
Okay. All right.
If you notice, every meeting, I'm probably the first one.
That's true. Every time I sign in, yeah, that's true. All right. Do we have a second for that?
I'll second that.
Okay. Do we have any discussion? People that want to stay? No.
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. So hearing no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? I think we're set.
Well, happy snow day tomorrow.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be awful. I hope you don't lose power.
Everyone stay warm.
Well,
You work tomorrow,